Okay, so this is a very brief PowerPoint on how to write an annotated bibliography. Don't freak out, it's super simple. So what is an annotated bibliography? So basically it's a references page, but you include one paragraph that is going to address the following questions. Why did you choose this article? Is it a valid source? So, those are what made this article important to your paper that you're writing. You only really need to read the abstract before writing an annotated bibliography. Of course, you'll probably be somewhere in the stage in between. You might have read a little bit of the paper, but not the entire thing. But the abstract should give you enough information. And then you format it. So you're going to do the formatting for a works cited or references page with one short, brief paragraph. And we're going to see some examples coming up. And you can save time. What I typically do is, because the annotated bibliography is due prior, a week or more prior to the final paper or the paper you're writing, is I write it, submit it, and then I go through and take out that one paragraph. And then I have my works cited page already done. So what is the point? The point is to make sure that you're analyzing your sources, that they're going to be useful to you, and that you're going to make sure you choose solid sources. So here's a sample entry. Again, the citation is using a hanging indent. You provided that extra space in between so it's an easier read, and then you have your brief one paragraph summary of why you chose this particular source. And you can use the two samples that I'm putting in this PowerPoint as kind of what information that annotation is to include. So here's another sample APA style annotated bibliography. You have the header at the top with the page number, and yes, there is a cover sheet. You don't need an abstract itself because it is just a references page. It's just an annotated bibliography. So I want you to note how very brief. It's what, 2 sentences long on the annotation. So again, to save time, when I get to writing my final paper, I delete that paragraph and then copy and paste that annotated bibliography minus the annotation, and it's now my works cited page. So when you're choosing your topic, you want to look at what field are you leaning toward entering. So if you do that and you write it and base it off of the field you want to go into, this could be, this paper itself could be a very great foundation for writing a larger paper in future classes. You always want to work smarter, not harder. So I know in English 222 at MMC, we ask the same basic instructions. You want to look for a problem in the area or field you're going into. So you're going to be at least have a starting point for an English 222 final paper. So it could be foundation even for a thesis or dissertation if you keep building on those concepts and ideas. So even though you're supposed to include sociology and sociological perspective in the final paper, note that multidisciplinary sources are actually expected the higher up you get in your college experience. So again, it's not going to detract from it in any capacity at all whatsoever. And so you brainstorm to get these ideas, and I've included some possible and potential problem areas in some fields in the instructions. So if you're looking at, you want to become a computer programmer, coder, maybe looking at the inequality, gender inequality in the field. If you're looking at nursing for a potential field, you might look at, again, gender inequality and how nurses are treated as opposed to doctors, and how doctors in turn treat nurses. Again, predominantly women go into the field of nursing as opposed to men. You could look at it from, flip it around a little bit. Gender discrimination when it comes to men, and how men in the nursing field are somehow perceived as less than. Think back to Meet the Parents and how they made such a big deal out of he was a male nurse. Well, why didn't he just go to medical school? So there's that pressure on men as well as women in that particular field. Choose a topic and get your question right is probably the hardest yet the most important part for your research. Be specific, don't overgeneralize, but your topic must be narrow and focused enough to be interesting, but broad enough so that you can find sources on the topic. So it's a tough call. This will become second nature to you by the time you get ready to transfer out of mid, especially after taking English 222. Now, if you've already taken English 222, you're more than welcome to use that as a starting point for your paper, and just make sure that you add in sociological perspective and theory as to how it would explain that problem. And if you haven't taken English 222 yet, this would again be a great foundation for that larger paper. And that's it. Ta-da! Done. I hope you enjoy the process, and I know it's daunting, but you're going to get through it just fine.